So you got like a regular job and, maybe you got some money set aside and you're maybe thinking about, hey, you know what? I'm kind of, don't see myself doing this job or whatever the case may be. But anyway, you're like, hey, I want to try to like dabble in like real estate. So what's the best way to do that, right? So obviously there's like there's a whole bunch of different ways, but here's like the three main ways to kind of, as a newbie with some capital, with maybe being busy at work or maybe having spare time and you want to, do something with real estate, right? And I'm always biased towards real estate compared to all the other investing routes, but that's me because that's what I do, right? But anyway, here's kind of like my top three things that you should look into. I guess the first thing is obviously do a little bit of research and kind of figure out roughly what it's all about and like all the benefits, pros and cons, right? But three things I would look into to kind of like get your feet wet. Number one is just investing in a syndication with obviously someone that you trust, in a market that you somewhat know, right? And obviously that can get like really involved. So maybe that's not like the number one thing I would do. But I think that top one I should have said first would be just like partner on a flip or a rental with someone that you see is doing a bunch of flips or buying a bunch of rentals, right? That you again know and you trust, or from whatever a family member knows and trusts, or whatever, right? Just an honest person. And then the other would be to like buy your own flip or rental and do it. But I think that people get like too crazy with their numbers and with all that stuff. I think it's just easier if you partner with someone that knows what they're doing, on that flip, on that rental, and you'd be way better off partnering with someone, right? Because just act like you don't even make any money, which you shouldn't, but let's just say you make like whatever 10% return, which isn't great, but let's just say you make 10% return on your money and you made money, but you literally got educated, right? And that's the most important part. So that's what I always tell people when anyone asks me like, hey, I got this much, I kind of want to do some real estate stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, partner with me on a deal, on a flip, on a rental, right? So you see how it is. And then you're like, hey, I really like this, right? A flip would be perfect because that gets done in 3 to 4 months. And you're like, hey, I really like this. This was sweet. I learned a lot. Or yeah, this isn't for me. I don't want to do it, right? So those are kind of like the what I would suggest. Because I've had a lot of people ask me like, hey, I got a job, and a lot of people are like, I'm way too busy to like do this, and I don't want to just have that money sitting there, right? And then a lot of people are like, hey, I got a job and I got a bunch of free time and I got some money to the side, so I'd want to invest in something instead of it just sitting there doing nothing, right? So it just depends on the person and what their kind of like risk tolerance is and what their long-term goal is. But those are just like three of my suggestions to obviously look into and see what it would mean to like partner on a flip, or what it would mean to do your own flip, right? Or buy your own rental, or obviously if someone would have partnered with me on my first flip, well, I did have a partner on my first flip, but on my first rental, that would have been sweet. I would have learned a lot more than learning it on my own, right? It would have been a lot easier, because everything was brand new for me. So it was hard. I got lucky and it worked out, but sometimes a lot of people aren't as lucky for their first rental to work out and it's terrible, and then they're like, yeah, I'm never doing this again, that was awful, right? So it all depends on your scenario and like what you want to do. These are just like 3 ways I threw out there, but there's like a million different ways to do it. Number one, I think, is just partnering with someone, and then number 2 is buying your own, but I think that takes a lot more like education on your end before you get into it. If you kind of want to get into it quicker, you should still kind of know the numbers and know that person that you're partnering with, that they're actually good at what they do, right? So you still need to have some sort of little background education on it. Obviously syndications, those are like the easiest because you're completely hands off. So if that's what you're looking for, is to be completely hands off, then syndication's always the way to go. But if you actually do want to learn, you do want to get your hands dirty, and you do want to, maybe own whatever, 10 units or 20 units or 50 units or whatever, thousands of units, right? The best way is to just, I think, partner with someone or just buy it on your own and have that person that you would partner with, like, guide you, right? Have someone that you trust guide you, be like, hey, yeah, that's a good deal, do it. Hey, no, that's not a good deal, don't do it, right? And there's plenty of people out there that are willing to do that stuff. I'm willing to do that stuff because I know if someone would have done that for me, my investment, I would have quit my job way fucking earlier. Is what it comes down to, right? But anyway, so I hope this video helped. And yeah, if you're looking for a way to start investing, those are like 3 things that you should definitely do some research on. Check them out. And if you have any questions, or if you ever have any questions about anything, feel free, send me a DM, drop a comment, whatever it is. See you later.